It's November 1st, 2021. I am standing in the sanctum sanctorum, the holiest of holies. I am muttering my mantra to myself, just look good, just look good, just look good. My road to the Jeopardy stage took 38 years. I started watching the reboot with Alex Trebek when I was a college student in Binghamton, sitting on a hand-me-down black vinyl recliner that didn't recline anymore. I then watched on a threadbare brown corduroy sofa in a 5th floor walk-up in the East Village. I watched with my children as they grew up, sitting at the kitchen table. First, they didn't know anything. Then they would claim categories, the sports category, the Disney category, and everybody had to be quiet while they tried to figure out the answers. I tried out online a few different times with no success. But then, late in 2019, I tried out online and I felt like I got a lot of answers right. It was okay. And 6 months later, I got an email asking me to do the test again. This time they would be watching to make sure I didn't cheat. That went well. And 6 months after that, I got an email inviting me to a Zoom audition. They would ask us questions and we would answer with a clicky pen next to our head to be like a buzzer. And that seemed to go okay. They ask you questions, what would you do with the money? Why do you want to be on a game show? Like, I got dressed, I put on lipstick. I figure I got to beat the guy who's eating a hero in his t-shirt, right? I'm doing okay. And they say, you have 18 months to wait. And during that 18 months, we might or might not call you. So I went back to my life and I didn't give it a whole lot of thought, but in the back of my head, I knew maybe the phone would ring. I'm driving one day on Main Street and the phone does ring with a phone number I don't recognize on my dashboard, right? Now, I know most everybody goes, oh, if I don't know who's calling, I don't answer the phone, right? Now, I always answer my phone every damn time because I grew up before caller ID existed. And you just never know who might be on the phone, right? So I answer my phone, hello? And this really chirpy, happy voice goes, hi, is this Terry? And I get really suspicious because I'm sure she's calling about my car warranty. And I go like, yeah, who's this? And she goes, hi, my name's Lori. I'm with the television program Jeopardy. And I go, holy shit, just like that. And I burst into tears. And she goes, do you maybe want to pull over? And I do. I pull over behind an Italian restaurant while she tells me everything I'm going to need to know to make my way to LA in 32 days. For those 32 days, I get ready. I get a practice buzzer, and I practice buzzing in until I get my response time down from 300 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. I make 1,000 flashcards, and every night after dinner, Andrew drills me on state capitals, South Carolina, that's Columbia, on presidents, F for 14, F for Franklin Pierce, and Shakespeare. If it says Shakespeare and it says cannibalism, you say Titus Andronicus. Every night we pause at 7 o'clock to watch Jeopardy. In the gap between my call and my trip to LA, the reigning champion is what's known as a super champ. It's this guy named Matt Amodio. He's a Yale, and he just keeps winning and winning and winning. And I am terrified that I'm gonna get to LA and he's gonna be there. Like, I'm ready to go to the Nerd Olympics, but I am not ready to swim against Michael Phelps. And it is just overwhelming to contemplate. And when Matt loses, I cheer out loud. I'm so excited. I call my sister, he lost. And I'm like, I'm sorry for his bad luck, but I'm glad for me. Finally, I get to LA. 7 o'clock in the morning, they get us ready to go on Jeopardy. And my taping cohort, we're all together. And it's kind of like that children's game called Killer, where you know someone in the room is the killer. You know someone in the room is the returning champ, but we don't know who yet. And I'm wondering, is it this girl in the blue dress? Is it this guy in the zip sweater? We have no idea. They tell us everyone will get 2 chances at a practice round. They're going to bring us up on stage, and you will have a chance to practice buzzing in under the lights and calling the next question and giving your answers. And they call up the first 3 people to practice. At this podium is going to be Mike. He's a YouTuber from Minnesota. At this podium is going to be Greg. He's retired. He's from Rhode Island. And at this podium, our returning champion, the announcer says, a computer engineer from Oakland, California, Amy Schneider, whose 23-day winnings are $855,600. And we think they're kidding. We're like, ha ha, very funny, right? After Matt, ha ha ha. And then they're doing the rehearsal, and Amy buzzes in on every frackin' question. They have to stop rehearsal at some point instead of letting her pick the next question and go like, how about if we let Mike call one, right? And she burns through this rehearsal board like a fire. And we're like, holy shit, I don't think they were kidding. And she sits down, and I ask the question on everybody's mind. I look at her and go, was that real? And she kind of goes, yeah. She goes, but don't worry, there's only 2 sets of rehearsal questions, and I've seen them all before, so don't be scared. We're like, yeah, okay, we're not scared. They call the contestants up for the first game, and Amy is unstoppable. By the time we get to Final Jeopardy, it's a runaway game. There's no hope of anybody catching her. Game number 2, who are they going to call? Not me. They play the second game, and the same thing happens. There's no catching her. She's going to go on to the next game. Game number 3, who are they going to call? Not me. She goes on. Another runaway game. We break for lunch, and I go up to her and I say, I'm going to have a go after lunch. I say, I want you to know something. I say, I'm going to do everything I can to beat you. But if I don't beat you, take them to school. Take all their money. Because if I'm going to lose, I want it to be to the best there ever was. After lunch, game number 4, it's going to be Jeff, a delivery driver from Ohio, Terry Wolfish Cole, a professional storyteller from West Simsbury, and Amy Schneider, who's now up to her 27th game. And we take the stage. My heart is pounding as I take the stage. I get up to the middle podium. They introduce us, and we start to play. The next 22 minutes of my life go by in a blur. I know we play 30 questions in the first round, 30 questions in the second round. I know that I don't get a daily double. I know that toward the end of Double Jeopardy, I look across the stage at the scores. Contestants can't see the podium, so there's another place to look for the scores. And I realize, though, if I can just hold on, I have more than half of Amy's score. If I can just hold on, I will go to Final Jeopardy with at least a shot at the crown. And I do. When Double Jeopardy is over, I look at the scores, and in fact, Ken says to Amy, I bet you wish you had about another $1,401, don't you? And she shrugs. They announce the Final Jeopardy category, famous buildings. They give us a piece of pink paper and a Sharpie with which to calculate our bet. Now, let me just tell you, I have studied wagering strategy for hours, more than I studied Titus Andronicus. There's a whole formula, and I have studied and I have practiced. But at this point, I am trying not to throw up as I am being asked to math with a Sharpie, right? And the contestant coordinator, she looks at me at some point, she's like, Tara? And I'm like, I'm trying. And finally I make my bet, and you have to push a button legally. You push a button with your light pen to lock it in. No more changing after that. And Ken asks the question. He reads us the Final Jeopardy clue. Built in 1070 with stones imported from Cannes, this building was meant to dominate both the skyline and the hearts and minds of a conquered populace. and I got nothing. Nothing. And I guess, and I write down what is Buckingham Palace, because if you're ever on Jeopardy, don't write down nothing. Nothing is never possibly the right answer, so I guess. Ken calls on Jeff next to me, who says, what is the Tower of London? I go like, oh shit. He's right. Ken calls on me, what is Buckingham Palace? So sorry, all your money, bye-bye. Calls on Amy, she gets it right also. So even if I had gotten it right, I wouldn't have won. And that's it. It's over. 38 years later, 22 minutes go by in a blur. I get back to the hotel, I call Andrew, I tell him what happened. He says, but you should be proud of yourself. You looked good, right? Game number 5, it was a runaway 2. You were the only game where Final Jeopardy mattered. And in fact, the next day when they taped 5 more games, every game was a runaway. In my whole contestant cohort, I was the only one who pushed through to final, but I didn't feel like I looked good. I felt like I had just wanted, and I couldn't find the right words, right? I would say to myself, I just wanted a fair fight, but it was fair. Nothing unfair happened to me. And I had to learn to make peace with bad luck, I guess. So 8 weeks go by, it's January 6th, it's my air date. My kids are home. We have just a handful of friends over because Omicron is raging. We watch the show, and for the first time, I see this whole experience through somebody else's eyes. I see them proud of me for trying. I see them excited when we get to Final Jeopardy and they don't know what's going to happen. And I realize I did look good, you know? Hair, makeup, outfit, answers. I looked good. I go to yoga on Wednesday, and my friend Rick, who hadn't known I was going to be on, he says, I watched, and I was so surprised, and he says, I was so proud to know you. And I heard those words, I was proud to know you. And I took them inside. Now, the thing is, I dream a lot about Lori calling me again. But the thing is, when I prepped this story for you all, this is the moment where I was going to say, but there are no second chances on Jeopardy. One and done. You got one shot. You do it or you don't. You come up against a super champ, that's your bad luck. Only just this week, the producers announced there's going to be a second chance tournament. And nobody knows who they're going to pick or why they're going to pick. So I'm back again to wondering if my phone's going to ring. And this time, if it does, I'll be ready to look good. Thank you.